The American Bus Association presents Motorcoach Travel News. Here's Dan Ronan.
Hello and welcome to the American Bus Association's Motorcoach Travel News, MTN. I'm Dan Ronan in Washington, coming to you today from outside of historic Union Station. More on why we're here in a moment, but first, our top story.
The ABA is praising the work of federal and state officials in New York after a Brooklyn couple was recently arrested, allegedly for running a cheating scheme to get unqualified people commercial driver's licenses. Prosecutors say those people taking the test wore a small hidden camera, a transmitter, and a buzzer system. And for $1,800, a person in a nearby van with a laptop computer could see the test questions and in code buzz the persons the answers. The tests were in multiple choice. Prosecutors say one of those who took and passed a CDL test was the driver of a Sky Express bus that crashed last May 31st in Virginia, killing 4 people. Prosecutors say the owner of NNY bragged to undercover agents that the company had helped people cheat for more than 10 years. Now, prosecutors say the couple could face 20 years in a federal prison, thousands of dollars in fines under a variety of charges.
Now, if you're a Motorcoach passenger or an operator, big changes are taking place here at Union Station.
Designed in 1907 by the renowned architect and urban planner Daniel Burnham, Burnham's philosophy was make no small plans. Union Station has seen more than a century's worth of history, just a few blocks north of the U.S. Capitol. As many as 200,000 troops and civilians each day came through Union Station in World War II. President Franklin Roosevelt's body came back to Washington at Union Station after Mr. Roosevelt died in Georgia. President and Mrs. Truman left Washington through Union Station, returning to Independence, Missouri in 1953. And in the classic movie with the great actor Jimmy Stewart, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, a naive new U.S. Senator, Jefferson Smith, arrives in Washington for the very first time. Now Union Station is entering a new phase as a truly multimodal transportation hub, not only serving rail but motor coaches as well. Passengers line up to get on one of the many usually full motor coaches that in 4 hours will take them from downtown Washington to New York City and other destinations. A few months ago, these passengers would have been dropped off and picked up at the curbside.
Union Station offers an experience for the passengers, not just with the train travel, but also with the Grand Hall. And so with inner city passengers, we want to offer them that same type of experience and arriving in DC in style and feeling like they have their own area where they can relax, get on their buses, get off their buses, be welcome to the area.
The bus facility, which sits in a parking garage above the trains, is a big improvement. It allows connections to DC's metro system. Later this summer, Greyhound says it will move all of its operations to Union Station, joining its curbside corporate sibling, Bolt Bus. Besides being a destination where people get on and off buses, trains, and metros, Union Station is now truly a destination itself.
We have a lot of different food services that you can come and spend a little bit of time if you want to do some shopping. We have a post office here. So it's not just the transportation, but also incorporating the retail that offers folks even more amenities.
Greyhound says much of the credit goes to Congressman John Mica, the chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton of Washington, D.C., Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, and Deputy Secretary John Percari. Via Skype, I spoke with Megabus President and COO Dale Mosier about the move to Union Station.
By being in Union Station, our passengers now have easier access to other forms of intermodal connectivity, being trains and the subways and city buses, cabs, etc. That makes those who don't have cars, it makes their access a lot easier to get around DC. What a great facility for them to get their first impression of DC.
We should tell you there are some charter and tour operators who have expressed concerns about the new plans for Union Station. Specifically, they say they want more information about the off-site lots that Union Station says will be available later this summer. And those charter and tour operators say that this makes an already tough parking situation in Washington, D.C. that much more difficult.
As it stands now, there are 90 bus parking spots for charter and tour operators, but soon that will drop to 29 for pickup, drop-off, and short-term parking. Union Station says those 60 or so lost spots will be recouped at the new lot off-site. There's more information on Union Station's parking at d.dc.gov and our website, buses.org.
Motorcoach Travel News continues from outside Union Station in Washington, D.C. after this break.
Group Connect is a tool for tour planners to be able to get quotes from multiple suppliers as they plan their tours throughout the United States and Canada. So the time-saving element of this is terrific, and we're very, very pleased with how it's going.
ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso now joins me. Peter, let's talk briefly about the fact that in the next couple days, that by the time this airs, we'll be talking about the MAC Advisory Committee in Charlotte.
They're going to be focusing on 2013 marketplace, making sure that we take the wow factor that we had and all the business that was done in the 2012 marketplace and Grapevine and move it to another level. 13 is going to be a really exciting year for marketplace. It's a year where we're going to be doing some new things, some different things. We know that a lot of members have to make a choice, that they don't have big budgets to spend going to all different shows. We want to make sure that marketplace is the place they go for their business.
Peter, April 2nd is the deadline for the ABA scholarships, and we had a chance at Grapevine to actually meet one of the scholarship winners.
Anyone who is a member of the industry or the extended family of the industry can apply for a scholarship. We've awarded over $500,000 in scholarship monies over the last 15 years to deserving students. As you point out, we've had some of those scholarship winners and some of those students attend Marketplace and actually make a pitch for the scholarship program and for continued giving and outreach by the membership. The deadline for submitting an application, a complete application, is April 2nd. So we hope that the industry, all of the members, will take advantage of that program. It's a really worthwhile program.
Congress seems to be somewhat stalled when it comes to the transportation bill, and a lot of moving parts in this bill, but right now, as we're recording this, it seems to be in a holding pattern.
That's long overdue. We know that Congress is working on it. Both houses are. The Senate and the House of Representatives are trying to pass transportation bills that will, at some point, come together and be conferenced into one bill that will hopefully go to the President's desk. But it's long, long overdue. And there's some interesting pieces in there that affect the motor coach industry, access for monies, access for funding for wheelchair lifts, for security. And then there's some crazy provisions that we see that are trying to be attached. For example, Senator Schumer from New York is trying to attach his bill, Senate Bill 1977, that would require overtime after 40 hours.
In all likelihood with this bill, it would actually have the opposite effect, and again also encourage illegal companies to continue operating illegally as they've done for many, many years.
You're absolutely right. I mean, everybody is concerned and interested in safety. The association has got safety as its #1 priority. The members of the association are safe companies. We vet them every quarter so we know they're safe operators. Congress is obviously concerned about safety, and certainly that's the intent of some of the amendments, some of the changes that we're seeing are members of Congress who want to make sure we have a safe industry. But we already do. We're the safest form of transportation. What we want to make sure doesn't happen is just the reverse, by putting things into place that don't enhance safety, that in fact make the illegal operators more likely to operate illegally because there's a bigger disincentive to operate within the boundaries of the law. So accidents that we've seen, tragedies that we've seen in too many cases, in fact in over half of the cases, happened by illegal operators who should have been off the road, who shouldn't have been operating to begin with.
ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso on MTN. When you go to the ABA's website, buses.org, you'll see we've added a new link.
We all know diesel fuel prices are climbing, and to help owner-operators get more information about rising costs, we've linked the Department of Energy's weekly fuel report to buses.org. The site goes into detail where prices are headed nationally and in 10 different regions. As gasoline prices continue to increase to a predicted $5 a gallon later this spring and summer, Many Americans are considering so-called staycations instead of their usual summer travel plans. But the American Bus Association is telling the media there's a cure for the gas price blues. Take a Motorcoach.
The rising price of fuel continues to be a very prominent issue, and at ABA, we'll stay on top of it throughout the summer. Speaking of which, today we've got a little bit of a different look. We're coming to you from outside the ABA's headquarters in Washington, D.C. Now, at Marketplace, as you know, there was a great deal of discussion about the issue of hours of service. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is considering possibly changing the rule. To talk with us about it, we're bringing in Norm Littler, the ABA's Vice President for Regulatory Affairs, who's been following this issue very closely. Norm, where are we at right now on hours of service?
Well, thank you, Dan. As you know, it's a critical issue for the industry. The entire industry operates under the current hours regime, all of the scheduling. There are a number of people or organizations that have a belief that bus crashes over the last number of years have been related to driver fatigue. We have seen no evidence either from compliant bus companies or compliant drivers that this would be the case. We have, on the other hand, seen crashes involving driver fatigue for non-compliant companies, as well as drivers who choose not to rest when they're given the opportunity. We are looking for evidence to back up this claim. We believe that work being done by the FMCSA now will ultimately show that.
Norm, there is ongoing research right now that's very close to being finished that talks about the issue of fatigue. Where are we at on this critical issue?
Well, as you point out, the FMCSA commissioned a study to take a look at the current motor coach hours of service and whether, in fact, there is an issue with fatigue amongst the industry and its drivers. The study is near completion. It will be sent to the FMCSA within probably the next month. We believe that this is going to vindicate our position. The study was conducted in conjunction with members of the Bus Industry Safety Council, and these were all companies that have very good records in compliance, as well as very professional drivers. So we're hopeful that the study will show what we've been saying all along. If there is an issue with fatigue, it's an issue of enforcement. It's not an issue of changing the rules.
Norm, in mid-June, you've got the Bus Industry Safety Council and your members will be coming to Washington, D.C. What are going to be the key issues there?
We're going to try something a little different this time. And the BISC executive decided that they wanted to offer to all of the attendees from operating companies something new, something as a take-home. And that take-home will be OSHA training, Occupational Safety and Health Administration training, the 10-hour training, which will start them down the path to building their in-house program. OSHA has been incredibly aggressive in their enforcement the last few years, and the fines they've been levying against even small companies have been very high. We want to give folks from our industry an opportunity to prevent that.
Norm Littler, thanks for joining us. We'll stay on top of this. Now, as we go to break, we want to tell you about the deaths of two people in the tourism and travel industry, and they were very important individuals. Rita Mallory is the former director of domestic tourism in the state of New York, and Ann Thomas is the former chairman of NTA. Our condolences to both of their families.
Crazy Dave here. While I may be crazy most of the time, here at Mobile View we are serious about safety. While driver cell phone usage and texting is a rising problem, it is not here at DC Trails. With our real-time driver surveillance, drivers' habits can be remotely monitored to assure safe driving.
Here at DC Trails, Mobile View ensures that safe driving is recorded and rewarded.
Be safe, be secure, be in view. Mobile View.
Did you know there are 522 pizza restaurants in Brooklyn? ABA member Tony Muya has seen all of them. Tony runs Slice of Brooklyn, a pizza-themed bus tour of New York's borough. The Travel Channel recently aired an episode about Tony's tours, and they're considering it for a reality show. This is the only guided Motorcoach tour of Brooklyn's famous pizza restaurants, the neighborhoods, landmarks, and movie locations. The U.S. Department of Commerce has some encouraging news about the tourism and travel industry. More visitors are expected to visit the U.S. this year from Canada and Mexico.
Concerning Canada, more than 82% of the tour operators say their projected bookings for 2012 are up from 4 to 9% year over year. From Mexico, an even higher 86% say bookings are up, also 4 to 9% compared to 2011. Canadian tourists questioned for the survey say that past entry and exit problems are no longer an issue. And Mexicans say the lower cost for hotels and other accommodations are attracting them to the United States. There's more information about the Department of Commerce's Office of Tourism and Travel. We've linked it to our website at buses.org.
During several days in late February and early March, several Midwestern towns were hit hard by tornadoes.
Our friends in Branson, Missouri were impacted when a twister touched down there. Some of Branson's signature entertainment facilities were damaged, but officials say they're confident the music venues and hotels can be repaired and the region is pulling together. To bring us up to date on the cleanup and repairs, we talked recently on Skype with Ross Summers, the president of the Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce and CVB. Ross Summers in Branson, Missouri, tell us, how is the town recovering?
There may be a couple of theaters that are inoperable for a few weeks. You may not stay at the exact hotel that you want to stay at, but we're going to make sure that you have a good time when you come to Branson. As far as we're concerned, we are fully operational, and we are prepared to show our folks a great vacation, and we welcome them to town. And don't be afraid to come to Branson simply because we've had this weather event. If you're in a position, we ask that you come and volunteer to help us clean up. We ask that you offer your prayers for those who have been affected. And thirdly, we want you to come and have a good time in Branson. That's the best way that our visitors can help us in this recovery.
From Branson, Ross Summers, the president of the Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce and CVB. We'll keep you up to date on the tornado damage and the reconstruction. Now, we want to end our broadcast with a very happy story about a longtime ABA member. Bert Asquith turns 101 years old.
That's right, he's 101 and still going to the office 5 days a week. Here are a few facts that make him so remarkable. While an undergrad in 1928 at his beloved University of Michigan, Bert Asquith got his start in the motorcoach business in Ann Arbor. He rented buses for students traveling to and from New York City and sold tickets on the Michigan campus. The venture became so successful it paid for his education as the country fell into the Great Depression. Bert Asquith was a college classmate and friend of a star University of Michigan football player, Gerald R. Ford, who went on to become the 38th President of the United States. Later, with his diploma in hand, Bert moved campus coach lines to New York, where he and his daughter Patty continue to operate the company today. For 80-plus years, Bert Asquith has been coming to the office, serving 6 terms as president of the New York State Bus Association and on the ABA Board of Directors, where today he's an honorary member. He remains a big part of the motor coach industry. And all of us at the ABA wish Bert Asquith a very happy 101st birthday.
And on that upbeat note, that's our broadcast. If you have story suggestions, drop us a note at mtn@buses.org. I'm Dan Ronan in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching Motorcoach Travel News, MTN, from the American Bus Association.